Happening now, lawmakers from all levels of local governments are sworn in. We hear from several new faces about their plans for the new year. And a longtime sheriff who was recently appointed as Fredonia's police chief is out of a job. We explain why. Plus, funeral services have been announced for the teen killed in a fatal truck accident this week in Jamestown.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now. This is WNY News Now with live breaking news.
And we start with breaking news. The Albany County District Attorney's Office releasing a statement today saying they will not be prosecuting former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's misdemeanor criminal complaint against him. The governor was accused of forcibly touching in a case filed in the Albany County Sheriff's Office back in October. In the statement, attorneys say while there has been many opinions regarding the allegations against the former governor, the Albany County DA's office is the only one who had a burden to prove the elements of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. They go on to say while that they found the complaint in his case was cooperative and credible, after review of all of the evidence there, they have concluded that they cannot meet a burden of proof to take this to a trial. We, of course, will continue to follow this and provide updates online at WNYNewsNow.com. We thank you for joining us for WNY News Now today. I'm Justin Gould. A look at the latest local news is coming up, but first, let's get a check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us live with that, and it seems like it's a pretty sunny day out there. So
yes, it is. The sun is back out and shining once again. And it's going to be another fantastic day for you out there as we go into the day. So as we take you into the forecast through the afternoon, 31 to 39 will be our forecast highs. A great amount of sunshine, not quite as cold as it was yesterday with a southwest wind. I want to show you the weather headlines very quickly because there is something coming as we go into tomorrow. So we have one more mild day ahead, then big changes arrive as we go into Thursday. Then we see some lake effect snow get going off Lake Erie, and the biggest impacts will be north. We'll talk about all of it in detail with that Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-day forecast later on in the show. So stay with us, Justin.
All right, Dakota, thank you. Funeral services for a 15-year-old Jamestown teen will be held this Saturday following a devastating accident that claimed her life. Alexis Hagen was crossing West 6th Street near Washington Street on December 31st when she was hit and killed by an 18-wheel car carrier. The driver of the truck, identified as 58-year-old Randall Rolson, is accused of driving while mobility impaired and fleeing the scene. An emo hippie memorial service will be held for the sophomore on Saturday, January 8th at First Covenant Church. Friends will be received starting at 11 o'clock. The service will be held at 1. Friends will then gather to celebrate her life at the Spire Theater's Odyssey Hall following that service. Huggins' family says the teen had a vibrant soul who expressed herself through color and creative clothing and hairstyles. She also had a love for animals, caring for 7 cats and a bunny. The teen aspired to be a kindergarten teacher one day. The family asked that in lieu of flowers, memorial donations can be sent to Infinity Visual and Performing Arts or Evergreen Health in Jamestown. Since the accident, a GoFundMe has raised over $35,000 to cover funeral arrangements. And the Jamestown City Council rang in the new year with its organizational meeting last night, and the 2 newest members say they're ready to dive into their work ahead this year. Our Matt Hummel has more following the meeting.
Newly elected Councilman Andrew Faulkner and Randy DeVersa, both Republicans, are outlining the goals they have for their first year in office. Faulkner tells us that there's a plethora of issues that he'd like to tackle in his role as the Ward 6 representative, particularly as the pandemic rolls on.
I think the biggest thing that I've heard from people that I've been speaking with is the housing issues that need to be taken care of, and the pandemic didn't help any of those issues. I'm hoping that in the next 2 years we can get beyond the pandemic so we can make some things happen with the housing. Second up would be the deer issue that everybody talks about. That's probably the easiest answer to give. But even on my way here, I walked out of my house to my car and there were 3 deer standing next to it.
Versa, meanwhile, explains that he'd like to continue to make improvements to the city's public safety.
When I first announced that I was going to run and I started talking to the people, to me, EMS and police safety was just huge. I come from a fire and police family, so that is dear to my heart. It's important. The people want to feel safe when they go out in this, when they go out their front porch, and that was paramount with everybody I spoke to.
Meanwhile, City Council President Tony Doles is outlining his goals for the upcoming year. He tells us that the allocation of American Rescue Plan Act funds is a critical problem to solve.
We just started allocating some of that, and we're going to need to roll up our sleeves and really get aggressive on some of the different projects, economic development, neighborhood initiatives, public safety issues, and so forth. So that's probably the first and foremost thing. And also, as I mentioned, it's been a difficult 2 years with COVID, so hopefully we can try to get back to normal and be able to get back out into the community, have some public forums, be a little bit more able to reach out and have our constituents come to us and be more hands-on.
The council will meet next during their work session next Monday. For WNY News Now, I'm Matt Hummel.
Matt, thank you. Faulkner defeated former Councilman Tom Nelson in this past election, while Diversa won a spot as an at-large member. Legislators in Chautauqua County took the oath of office during their first meeting of the new year yesterday as well. Among the new faces who joined the body include Republican Marty Proctor, who represents District 18, and Dave Wolfong for District 11 in Jamestown. As for Democratic lawmakers, Fredonia's Susan Parker now represents District 4, and Billy Torres, who ran unopposed, will serve Jamestown's 9th District. Torres tells us he attributes former county legislator and Jamestown City Councilwoman Victoria James as one of the many inspirations to seek office. This after her sudden passing last year.
She was a big inspiration to everybody, and along with myself and many, many, many thousands and thousands of kids. So, and I do work with kids, so I want to just try to help the best I can.
Now, in addition, the previous legislative chairman, Pierre Chagnon, was elected chairman again. Also, John Penhall was appointed to fill the term of former legislator Mark Odell, who resigned in July after moving out of state. Well, new today, the village of Fredonia just appointed police chief is out of a job after the board of trustees appointed a new top cop on Monday. The village lawmakers unanimously voted to remove Joe Gerasi from the role and appointed Officer David Price to the job. Price has worked with the department for decades. Gerasi, who was serving as Chautauqua County Sheriff for 24 years, was appointed to the post in November. However, a new board was sworn in this week. Previously, lawmakers said they wanted to open the police chief job to outside applicants, while a new group of trustees wished to continue traditions to promote a candidate from within.
Current Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia wishes to fill the position through the original process of selecting a promotional candidate within the department.
Now, Price's appointment is provisional until he passes the police chief civil service test. As WNY News Now pushes on the latest in New York's redistricting efforts, how this could impact our vote here locally. And later, we tell you about the inspirational speaker who will visit Jamestown High School this week as he works to keep kids off drugs. Stay with us as WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
New York State's Independent Commission voted yesterday to send 2 different sets of redistricting maps to the state legislature. The 10 commissioners voted along party lines, and no set maps reached a majority, with the vote ending in a 5-5 tie. These maps redraw congressional, state senate, and assembly districts for the next 10 years based on population changes reflected in the 2020 census. If it fails to approve a plan by a 2/3 majority in both chambers or a plan vetoed by the governor, the commission will be able to present new maps by February 28th. If those also fail, the legislature will draw plans of its own. New maps are expected to be approved by the June primaries. Well, in her first proposal of 2022, New York's governor outlined a plan to institute term limits and ban outside income for statewide elected officials. Governor Kathy Hochul announced the proposal on Monday, saying she wants the legislature to institute term limits for the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and comptroller. Additionally, she also proposed a ban on outside income for statewide elected officials while serving in office, in a push to increase accountability and trust in the integrity of government. The governor says she plans to introduce a constitutional amendment to set limits of 2 consecutive terms for statewide elected officials. Well, New York's governor isn't pulling any punches when talking about COVID. Governor Kathy Hochul indicated Monday COVID is surging here in New York, and she expects the trend to worsen.
We're not in a good place. I'm going to be really honest with you. This is the winter surge we predicted. We know that particularly after families gathered December 25th over that weekend, another weekend holiday we just completed with New Year's, there's a lot of human interaction. And what happens when humans gather? They spread the virus. And we fully anticipate, on top of the surge that's already been ongoing, that there's going to be another wave that's occurring as a result of these holidays.
Now, she pointed to the 51,000 recently reported cases of the virus in New York, which she says is likely an undercount. She goes on to say people likely didn't get tested over the weekend, and she expects that number to rise dramatically. Hochul also said that though Omicron appears to be the cause of milder symptoms among other COVID variants, hospitalizations are also likely up more than 9,500 in the state. She promised to poll hospitals to determine how many of those admissions are due to COVID-19. Well, a lot of people are buying at-home COVID test kits to see if they test positive for COVID-19. So much so, in many areas, tests are running out. However, experts say these tests are not as accurate as the traditional PRC tests. WNY's Connor Thompson is breaking down the margin of error.
The antigen test looks for the proteins on the surface. So it's similar to a home pregnancy test or a strep test. It looks for those proteins. And if it sees those proteins, it measures positive.
Dr. Stephen Hennigan, Chief Medical Officer and Vice President of Medical Affairs with ARNET, says that while both tests can get fairly accurate readings, a PCR test is much more accurate.
So a PCR test is a test that looks at the nuclear material of a virus. The test is more complicated, so it replicates and expands the number of nuclear material in the test itself. And so it turns out that it improves the accuracy, approaching that of about 100%.
As for why the antigen test has a higher error margin, the test itself is not as in-depth as the PCR tests.
The problem with the test, it doesn't expand the numbers. And so somebody who's very early in a COVID infection might not have enough antigen to trigger the test.
As for when you should test if you believe you've had an exposure, Well, it depends on the type of test you take on how accurate those results might be.
At 5 days, certainly if you had an exposure and you get infected within 5 days, the accuracy of both tests should be excellent. If you, for instance, had an exposure and maybe you're going to visit relatives that may be at risk and you don't have to wait 5 days, the more accurate test would be the PCR test.
Local health departments ask that you self-report if you do test positive. Counties in the Southern Tier are beginning to launch websites where people can self-report a positive test result online. Connor Thompson, WNY News.
All right, Connor, thank you. Coming up, when we return, a look at our full weather forecast. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
I had no idea they were going to take me coming from that. I do my own makeup, folks. I don't go to makeup. Screw that. I do it myself. So that's what I was doing there, getting the little powder on my forehead.
We love it, Dakota.
Yes.
You always look good.
Yes. So there you go. That's why, because I do it myself. So the low temperature this morning was 15 here in town, 17 in Randolph, 24 in Fredonia. Was not as chilly as it was yesterday, but it was still a chilly night out there. But hey, the sun is shining downtown from the HD News Now cam right now, and it's going to be a fantastic afternoon right now. The temperature right now is at 28 degrees with a south wind of 10, and I actually see it on my computer monitor, but I don't see it up behind me. So let's try to figure this out here. We have a south wind of 10, there it goes, and the wind chill at 19. Now, for those of you who are early risers tomorrow morning, we do have a shot of seeing the International Space Station tomorrow morning, and it's going to be 5:43 a.m. You're going to have to look to the northeast, to the east, visible for 3 minutes. So if you're up before sunrise tomorrow morning, try to see if you can spot the International Space Station flying across the area. So the satellite and radar composite really dry right now. High pressure has built in right now, so that has pretty much kept us dry. But some changes are going to be on the way as we head into tomorrow and the middle of the week. We have a winter storm watch in place for basically north of the region. This includes the Buffalo metro area, and this is for heavy lake effect snow that's going to set up through the day on Thursday. The main focus zone really is going to be from Buffalo to the south down across southern Erie County. That looks like the main focus zone. And here's some of the forecast snow totals for you. Again, once you get into this purple and pink strip right here, you could be looking at a foot or more of snow across the Buffalo South towns. But the good news is the southern tier will likely miss out on some of that heavier impact. So temperatures through the afternoon today, likely lower 30s. Rejoice in the sunshine. It's a milder day out there. So the next 7 days are coming up on the screen, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. You can see 37 tomorrow, a mixed rain and snow shower, lake snow mainly north Thursday and Friday. But some of that lake snow may jog a little bit southward later in the day on Friday. The temperatures go back down over the weekend, Justin, and it looks like by the time we start early next week, we'll be kicking it off in a wintertime fashion with some light snow showers.
Oh, Mother Nature doesn't quite know what she wants to do. Up, down, up, down. I mean, heck, I'll take that 37, though. I mean, if we could just have, you know, the rain in January, who knows? Yeah, but the problem is when you get rain this time of the year, you get the freezing temperatures, it freezes, and it's just, you know, you get that ice accumulation on your car. And then you're out there scraping or, in many cases, warming your car up for what? I think I warmed my car up for 20 minutes today. It was great when I got in it. It was like an oven. But you see, Justin has this fancy car to the point where he can actually remote start it from his bedroom. Yeah. Where the rest of us around here, we have to go out physically in the elements to start our cars. So. And then you risk the thing of, if you leave your keys in the car, they say that that's pretty dangerous. You don't know what could happen. So. Well, it wasn't just our area who was feeling some of that winter weather. Did you see this yesterday, Dakota? Our nation's capital got some of the most snow that they've seen in years. The winter weather's so bad it shut down schools, COVID testing sites, and even the airports. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp, she was in the thick of things.
Although Washington, D.C. missed out on a white Christmas, Monday morning made up for that as snow blanketed our nation's capital. But it disrupted business as usual here in the district. Some federal buildings were closed for the day. At 2 of the DMV airports, some flights were canceled. There was also a temporary ground stop so that crews can remove snow from the runways. And COVID testing sites were shut down. Crews were out and about, clearing paths on sidewalks and near the metro stations. And snowplows made their way through the city. The National Weather Service expects the district to get anywhere between 5 to 10 inches of snow. That's the highest amount of snowfall in 3 years.
We're visiting from Florida.
We caught up with people walking around.
I love it.
Why do you love it?
Because sometimes I get to touch snowballs.
Because you what? Oh. Oh no! Whether it was by throwing snowballs or out sightseeing.
Cannot see anything at the moment yet.
Or at least trying to see some of the sights, there was hardly any foot traffic at some of the usually busy areas. I'm here outside the National Mall, and it's a tourist hotspot here in DC. It's where a lot of the Smithsonian museums are, and typically right behind me is where you would see our Capitol. However, the visibility from the weather is making it so low that you can't even see it. But after making our way closer, the Capitol was indeed still there. With all this winter weather, DC's mayor issued a snow emergency in the district until Tuesday morning.
I can't emphasize enough right now that you should stay home.
And as for these folks,
I might go to somewhere warmer at the moment.
In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, stay warm. Meanwhile, the U.S., they're expanding their COVID boosters as it confronts the Omicron surge. The Food and Drug Administration on Monday allowed extra Pfizer shots for kids as young as 12. Boosters are recommended for everyone 16 and up, the FDA saying they're also warranted for 12 to 15-year-olds. The decision comes as schools in our area reopened after Christmas break. Other states are seeing record-breaking cases and anticipating higher numbers after the new year as well. Now, the new Omicron variant is affecting kids at a much higher rate. Although some cases are mild, doctors say getting your kid vaccinated is the best move at preventing serious illness. New York's Attorney General is ramping up a civil investigation into the Trump Organization. The AG's office has subpoenaed Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump Jr. regarding an investigation into whether the Trump Organization manipulated the value of its properties. Former President Trump was previously issued a subpoena for testimony. The deadline for that is Friday. But Trump's lawyers have said they will fight it. Eric Trump, who serves as the executive vice president at the company, previously provided testimony in 2020. The Trump Organization and its executives are also facing a criminal investigation for allegedly inflating the value of some assets. Now, prosecutors have interviewed additional witnesses in that case in recent weeks. Well, next here, a look at the inspirational speaker that's coming to Jamestown this week. The latest on his mission to help keep kids off drugs. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm, and real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Ahead of Thursday's anti-addiction presentation by a former NBA basketball player at Jamestown High School, we got the chance to sit down with the man making it all possible. Our Julia Gress with a sneak peek at the event.
Patrick Smeraldo, owner of Collaborative Children's Solutions, is bringing Chris Herron of the Boston Celtics and Denver Nuggets to Jamestown to host a free community discussion entitled The First Day, which documents his battle with addiction. Smeraldo explained how this discussion is important to have with children, especially as Jamestown's battle with drugs continues.
It's our belief that everybody in their life, whether it's me, you, whoever, has that aha moment maybe of where they either saw something or they experienced someone.
The plan to bring Chris to Jamestown has been in the works for a few years, with help from board members and a former student of Smeraldo's.
So with Chris coming here to tell us his story and to show how he has been to the heights of his career, the National Basketball Association, and then lost all of that because of his addiction, to then share that with the children and really give an up-close look of what it did to his life and his family and things like that.
Smeraldo explains that the goal of CCS is to offer kids opportunities to reach their maximum potential and to help them through obstacles they may face.
The hope is that kids see that and relate to that, and then use some of all of the interventions that we have in our area, in our county, to then be able to be successful.
Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. Such an important conversation to have. That presentation, it's free, by the way, for everyone to attend. It starts at 7 o'clock with doors opening at 6:30 p.m. However, you must register beforehand. We have a link to do that and, of course, so much more at WNYNewsNow.com. Well, we thank you for joining us here for WNY News Now. We get a check of some local, regional, and of course, national headlines today. We want you to tell us what you think about these stories. Be sure to connect with us on social media at WNY News Now, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course, channel 716 on Roku. If you haven't downloaded that or checked that app out, it is free to download, and you can stream live local content 24/7. Well, now let's get a final look at our weather forecast today. Of course, Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joining us with that. And Dakota, it sounds like it's going to be another chilly one tonight.
Well, it's not going to be as chilly, but it will be an overall quiet night. 27 to 36 tonight, partly to mostly cloudy. It turns breezy overnight as well through the day tomorrow. And again, if you're up before sunrise tomorrow morning, try to spot the International Space Station.
Absolutely. Good for all those young astronomers out there, Dakota. Thank you. That's it for us today. News continues at WNYNewsNow.com. Have a great day.